Step right up, folks. You're now entering It's a Circus, where parenting isn't always a show-stopping act, but it's certainly entertaining. I'm your host, Elsa, here to prove that no one really knows what they're doing, and that's perfectly fine. Let's have some real conversations, peel back the layers, and remind you that you're never alone in the madness. Let's get the show rolling. Hello, and welcome back to my solo series. And today I just am pulling apart a little bit, and this is going to be an endless conversation because for me it is redefined all the time, specifically when I think about what season I'm in. But this idea of self-care and what that means. Recently I had listened to a podcast, and it was this very famous doctor, and she opened up and she said, the thing that I regret the most as I was in kind of the throes of like very intense mothering is she was like, I really regretted the most of not taking better care of myself. And that is what, again, I think so many people can relate to that. And I've heard that over and over so many times, whether it's been in the depths of postpartum and trying to get out, whether it has been, all of these examples. And so often in my interviews, you can find that common thread through a lot of the conversations is all of a sudden I had to care for myself. All of a sudden, as a reminder to everyone, make sure you put yourself first. There's so many examples of that. And there's lots of reasons as to why we don't, or we have a hard time doing that, right? We can talk about societal pressures, internal family dynamics. You could talk about, the perfectionism thing, or if you were a high achiever, all of those things can kind of come together and really create this place where we do forget about ourselves sometimes. And this doesn't just happen in the journey of motherhood. I think it really happens throughout seasons in our lives. And as I was reflecting on what I wanted to share today in this idea of, a piece of self-care right now, there is kind of two aspects to it. I think it is creating space to find what self-care means now for you in whatever season you are in, knowing that it can change from year to year, from moment to moment, what is actually going to feel soothing to you, what's actually going to help your soul feel alive again or feel calm. Those are so important to think about and how that could potentially change. Also, the other piece that I want to share is this idea about self-care needing to be an escape. And I'd like to offer something a little different. And that would be self-care is becoming more present. So let me talk about both. The first one is, what is self-care in this season? And I kind of want to share like some personal things. So I think I've shared before that self-care is just this big thing that I am so passionate about and have always been really passionate about. And it's just this idea of giving yourself grace, giving yourself little gifts throughout the day, romanticizing, like lighting a candle, creating spaces where you feel good in, all of these like little tiny things of that help with like overarching self-care. I think one of the big things is like big health, right? Like making sure you're in good health, working out, feeling good about yourself. So maybe getting like some treatments or getting your makeup done, getting your hair done, like all of that kind of stuff is kind of that like traditional self-care. Light a candle, have a bubble bath, do some nails, whatever. And it's exciting. And then some people say, oh my gosh, that's so superficial. You need so much more than just getting your nails done. You need to like attack whatever you're dealing with in therapy. And maybe that is all true. And in fact, I wouldn't even say maybe. That is all true. That is all true. But I do think that when you think about self-care, I think if you were really to dilute like, hey, what is actually going to make me feel good? what is going to recharge me, what's going to help my soul feel whole again. Those are questions that have become bigger in my quest for not only my like personal self-care journey, but also offering advice and thoughts to other people. So right now for me, and having gone through kind of like 4 years of intense parenting, right now in this season, what is self-care to me is alone time, getting ready in the morning, and time with friends. And alone time is something I think is so helpful to recharge. And alone time is not on the phone, not doing something for somebody else. It's literally either like a moment of silence, time away, space away. And finding that throughout the day is absolutely possible. It is running to the bathroom and having some time by yourself in the bathroom, no phone, just like, let me relax. You don't even have to be going to the bathroom. Just like, shut the door. You are alone. Let your nervous system come back to normal. Feel space, feel time, come back to yourself. I think that is really good. I think a drive is really nice. Just again, like finding peace, finding that moment where your soul can feel fulfilled. Alone time for me often looks like literally time away. Like we have a guest room. I will go and like shut the door and literally pretend I'm in a staycation somewhere else. That is like my dream alone time that's needed for me to refuel. Also, I love and I know a lot of people, retail therapy. I mean, just get out, walk, look around, feel inspired by whatever is around you. Also alone time if you can find it. And again, that's just going to be personal, but for me, those times are absolutely critical. And it's something that I prioritize weekly, and sometimes even daily if the day is a little bit tougher than normal. All of those things are important, and I think it's important to kind of think about as you feel your nervous system or anxiety or whatever is coming your way that's not feeling so good, is to remember that we do have some tools in our toolbox, and that alone time for me is definitely one of them. Another kind of funny one is getting ready in the morning. And this one has ebbed and flow. And I think the thing that is so funny about this is so many people think this is so superficial. Like, oh, what do you mean? You get ready before you leave the house. Like, you don't have time for that. It doesn't matter. Like, nobody cares. Like, all this kind of stuff. And at the end of the day, I always come back to, it's not about anybody caring. It's about me. And it's not even me necessarily caring about how I am like presenting to the world, although sometimes that is part of it. Oftentimes, it's just like the meditative practice of washing your face, moisturizing, putting on my foundation, taking that time to be alone and actually like care for myself before I leave the house or before I start the day. There are things that if I don't do, I literally feel like I am sleepwalking. Like I am in my pajamas. That's how like ridiculous I feel if I don't do certain things that help me get ready. I had a moment deep in postpartum, both times, where I kept feeling like this dragging feeling. And sometimes you don't know what you need. And both times I was like, oh, it's because I haven't taken the time to get ready for like a week. Or I haven't taken the time to like get ready for my day, or, to think about what, how I want to start my day. And so for me, it's not like, my kids wake up really early. I don't have alone time in the morning. I can't start fresh in the morning. It literally is time where I have to be like, you know what? I need a minute to get ready. And that's, getting dressed, doing some hair, may or may not do some makeup, but whatever that is, that getting ready moment is critical for my own self-care. And then the last piece is friends. I mean, I think finding people outside of your family, outside of people that you see every single day, it's exciting. It's great to connect with people, build community. And again, this idea of like you're not alone is so critical for self-care, to realize that there are people dealing with the exact same things that you are. And all of those things for me in this very busy season of life is considered self-care. And I think when I think about how I got to those things and how I know that those things are a critical path for me, is a couple things to ask yourself is what is going to make you feel full? What's going to fill you up? And that may not be going to a busy salon and sitting in a chair and getting your hair done for how many hours. That may not fill you up. That may be like something you need to do. Same with the nail salon. You have to make an appointment. You have to be there at a certain time, or you don't make an appointment and you're rushing and all of this stuff thinking that you're getting a self-care moment, and it's not quite that. So again, it's like asking yourself, what is going to fill my cup? What's actually going to make me feel whole again? And that can vary. And then I think the other question is, how can I build that in my day more? How can I do more of that? Or how can I let people around me know these things are really important to me? So when I can prioritize them on the week, on the day, they become something that's important to my whole family. So just a few thoughts on that. And then, I have been thinking about the other piece of self-care. So recently, my husband left on a work trip. And I was solo parenting for a while, which is, things that we have both done quite often. And I found myself getting and feeling really burnt out and not being able to take a break, or just feeling overwhelmed or stressed out about certain things that were going on. And the practice that has worked for me, not only in that moment, but it was such a good reminder, is this moment of presence, that self-care isn't about an escape necessarily. It can be, but it doesn't always have to be that way. Self-care is about just like this radical commitment to being present. Oftentimes, when I'm frustrated or annoyed with what, specifically in motherhood, it's often due to the friction of, I have something I need to get done, or I have a vision that I thought was going to happen, and none of that is happening. That's where the most of my friction happens, whether it's like an actual task, or whether it's how I had envisioned something to go, or it's that I don't see what's in front of us. All of those things for me causes friction and causes me to be annoyed and frustrated. And so what I have been practicing, especially when I'm with the kiddos, or especially when I'm with like an intense parenting time, is coming into just the present tense, just being alive in that very moment, thinking there's nothing in front of me, there's nothing behind me, it's about right now. What is right now? Is right now playing with monster trucks? Is right now like letting the kiddos listen to really loud music for 30 seconds? Is right now being present for a temper tantrum that just is not ending? Whatever that time is, that's when I find it to be peaceful. And I found the more that I practice that, being very present, being very hyper present, the more calm that I feel, the better my nervous system is, and the better I am ultimately at the end of the day. And it's a way to fill my cup without having to have anything planned or anything that's executable. It's something and a practice that can happen just in the moment. So if you haven't had the opportunity to practice this, and by no means am I even remotely close to an expert, it's just a little bullet point that is for consideration, is in those moments of frustration and overwhelm and feeling like things are too much, practicing the ability to be present, not think about what's in the future, but think about what's happening in the moment right now, has been such a freeing place to be. And I will continue to practice this moving forward, and will continue to add this into what is considered self-care. Because at the end of the day, the person that you live with the longest and the most is the one that's in your head, and that's yourself. And so making sure that we ourselves have the space the time and the commitment to ensuring that self-care remains a priority is critical for everyone around you, is the biggest gift that you can give to everyone around you, is your own self-care practices. So as we start out this new year, as we continue on through all the things, those are a few of my current thoughts on self-care. And as I am constantly reminded from all the conversations I have, from everything that is shared on my podcast and all of the interviews that even I've heard and listened to consistently, it is a common thread. So let that guilt go. You've got this. It is about you. I'm giving you permission, although you don't need it, that the self-care practices as we move in and start fresh in 2026, I hope is something that you continue to account for. And I'll see you next time. Thanks for listening to It's a Circus. If today's episode made you feel a little less alone, share it with a friend who might need it too. We are building something amazing at the Turner Brothers Circus, an entire space designed for parents to find connection, laughter, and support. I'd love for you to be a part of it. Remember, you're doing better than you think. Stay grounded, stay real, and embrace that beautiful mess. And as always, the show must go on. Until next time.